Like, I can already feel like you guys are gonna like do cool stuff.
Into the motive.
Just being good to one another.
Yeah.
You guys are doing a good thing here.
The people at the top collaborate, and the people that are at the bottom compete.
Yeah, it resulted in me shooting him.
I was charged with 109 and a 50.
Ultimately, you'll get to where you want to go if you push yourself enough.
I genuinely love this conversation.
I love the Motive Podcast.
Welcome back to the Motive Podcast. I'm your host, Leo Kosuch. Alongside me, guys, no Kyle Cohn today. He's at his brother's graduation. Kyle, we're missing you. But joining us today, a very special guest, a cancer survivor, and now endurance athlete going for some pretty crazy races coming up here and has completed some very impressive races. Guys, Shane Burke. Thank you for being here, Shane.
Thanks for having me, Leo.
I saw a couple weeks, 2 weeks ago, I saw you at Broad Street.
I did see you at Broad Street,
That was fun. That was my first time doing it. How many times have you done it?
That was my second time, but you killed it there.
Yeah, I think I got an hour 11 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was fun. It was fun.
That's the type of race where you come out of the white tent at the finish and you see someone there, you're like, they had a good day. I didn't have the best day, but I saw you. You had a good day.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Did you?
Good turnout.
What were you like? Did you complete your goal? Did you fall short? Anything like that? Were you hard on yourself with that one?
I was pretty hard on myself there. I set an ambitious goal for, I think, an hour 13.
Okay.
So 73 minutes, which comes down to 7:15.
Yeah.
No business setting that goal.
Really?
I think I settled with 1:15, hour 15.
Okay, not bad.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
PR.
Yeah,
PR.
for sure.
PR is PR.
Definitely.
It's fine.
The last mile, I was struggling. Like, just I don't know why. I think it was like the last 2 miles. Also, like the deal, like the bathroom. I was like holding it in, if you know what I mean. I like on mile 8 or 9, and I like had to like slow down like just ever so slightly. But hey, it didn't mess me up too bad.
No,
but
good.
But yeah, for sure. What was I gonna talk about? Oh, and then so back in November, I ran the Philly. Did you run the full marathon?
I did, yeah.
The full marathon on Sunday. I ran the half on Sunday, and I remember I saw you. I don't know if you
did
remember.
on Saturday, right?
Yeah, I did on Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, I did see you.
ran by you. It was fun. I think you were with a couple of your boys.
That was early on too. Probably
Yeah.
mile 4, right on South Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. That was
We
a
were in
fun
our
time.
Santa suits.
Yeah.
Every year.
That was
We
hilarious.
love to do that.
But yeah. So for that, how was the full marathon the next day?
It wasn't bad. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
It's a different course in the back half.
That's so I'm thinking about doing it this year. The
Yeah.
full.
Definitely do it.
Okay. And it seems like the course, I don't know. It seems like the half marathon course is very like exciting, and then that's how like the full marathon course is. But then they just add twice as much into like some boring parts of town or something.
They start making up little loops. I think it's back near FDR Park,
Yeah.
and then you got to go down Kelly Drive, which is endless. There's
Yeah.
no crowd there,
Oh,
so that's
yeah.
pretty humbling there.
Right.
But you get to Manayunk, you get down that
Okay.
hill, up back that hill, crowds are bustling there.
Okay.
Awesome. You
Cool.
definitely got to do that race.
Yeah. I gotta go for the marathon at some point.
Mhm.
Like, of course. So when did you do your first marathon?
My first marathon was November 2022. Was the Philly Marathon.
Okay.
The only marathons I've done have been the Philly marathons.
Okay. Do you have?
So
any,
I really do like them.
Do you have any ambition to do any other marathons? I assume. And like I was looking at Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh's in the spring, but I know that's like a very hard. It's like one of the hilliest ones in the country.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah. I think yeah.
Early May.
Yep.
I guess we're May 18th now. It was probably
Yeah.
first Saturday May.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's around the same time as Broad Street, so you got to pick and choose.
Yeah, right.
It always matches up there.
Yeah.
But that's a good one, I hear.
Yeah, for sure. So before we get into like more race stuff in your life, but let's start about like growing up. Like, so you're local to here, kind of. I know you said you went to Sally's, so give me the full rundown.
Yep. So grew up in West Goshen,
Okay.
right over near Kelly Fields and Dewey Pile, Westtown
Okay.
Road.
Okay.
I'm sure you played some sports there.
Of course.
Grew up there. I have an older brother, older sister.
Okay.
It's 2 years spaced off in between, so I'm the youngest. Mom and dad, strong family. Grew up playing sports, basketball, soccer, track. I mean, you really couldn't get me off any of the courts or the fields. I tried to stay active when I was younger, but the problem was I was just too tiny for my sports. I didn't hit a growth spurt until senior year of high school.
Really?
I was capped off at 5'2". It's funny. I actually went to the DMV 2 weeks ago to get my license changed, and they see my height and my height now. I'm like, something's wrong here. You want to change from 5'2" to 5'10"? I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, I always had very ambitious goals of playing at the next level, especially collegiate. I mean, I followed sports, professional sports, collegiate sports, local sports, high school games, nonstop. I just loved being in those atmospheres, the team building there. But it just didn't pan out. I think my dreams was so far in my head, just like looking at my body. But I loved playing AAU, travel soccer. It was just sports whenever I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you play in high school? Did you like dedicate yourself to one? Like, did you have like a main sport in high school or no?
My freshman year, I tried out for the soccer team.
Okay.
And Sally's has a very, very good soccer program.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
They're usually, I don't know how they are nowadays, but they went on a stretch, I think, of like 15 straight state titles.
Wow.
At least. But
That's
they're
crazy.
a very, very competitive program down there, and they like to pull from their travel program,
Okay.
Delaware Rush.
Okay.
But since I was a Pennsylvania kid, and I played Westchester United Soccer,
yeah.
I don't know if that, I think they should be still around.
Yeah.
I didn't go on to play.
I played Westchester United.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was on the Predators the entire time, but I never played Penn Fusion.
Okay.
So that's like the next level
Right,
up.
yeah.
It's kind of the version of Delaware Rush, but in PA.
Okay.
They like to pull, down at Sally's, they like to pull all their players from Delaware Rush. Maybe one or two kids from Pennsylvania. But I was completely fine stopping soccer after my freshman year. And that's when I switched over to play travel basketball and then high school CYO.
Okay.
So I played with all my buddies that I grew up with.
Yeah.
We made our own competition out of that. We actually were a very, very good team. Nobody liked playing us. We would beat up some teams and run up the score as much as we could. We had no mercy there.
Yeah, the CYO, like, I haven't played CYO. I'm trash at basketball. It's honestly probably my worst sport. But the CYO teams, like, I know between, like, Peter and Paul and, like, St. Agnes, like, a bunch of these schools, like, it's so funny. Like, all the kids that come together and just make these power teams, like, how competitive it gets. It's fun to watch from, like, an outside perspective.
It's the rivalry you just build up when you're young.
Yeah. Yeah, that competitive spirit.
Like a lot of my buddies that I'll see over at the gym or I'll just see down the beach in the summer, St. Agnes kids, St. Maximilian Colby kids, and they're just, you were battling them season after season when we were younger. Right. 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Yep. And then go into high school too, when all of them would either quit their high school basketball teams and come play for CYO. And that's when the true test came out.
Yeah, for sure. But how was school itself? Did you like school? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? What was the vibe?
Back when I was younger, I guess
in high school,
I was big on the books. Okay. I spent a lot of time just head in the books, and I wouldn't say I guess I try hard, but I like to see my grades as perfect as they could be, and I'm sure my parents were really wanting to see that. But I learned from my brother and my sister. They were very good students. My brother was a good athlete. My sister played her sports, but she also would focus on the books, obviously. We really were just a student first family.
Yeah, for sure.
But
yeah, so at the end of high school, where would you say you were at? Like we talked about off camera, like the college trek and everything like that. Like walk the audience through where you're thinking about going to college, where you were at, what you were thinking about studying.
My senior year of high school, I'll back it up. It kind of ties into the sports. So when I grew up, I was a big Kansas Jayhawks and North Carolina Tar Heels basketball fan. Kansas is not too close, so I wrote that university off the list. I'm like, I can't go there, but I really wanted to go to North Carolina, Chapel Hill, or Villanova. Very good schools, but I didn't have, I guess, a lot of the athletics accolades there. They really try to tie in everything with the student, the athlete, and how you serve in the community. I did well in the service aspect and the student aspect, but I wasn't the best with the athletics there and tying it all together. Great schools, though, and a lot of respect for those universities, but I pivoted elsewhere. I applied to, I think, probably 10 to 12 schools, really focused on 4 schools. One of them was Xavier, Pittsburgh, Butler was up there as well, and then Virginia Tech snuck in the mix a little bit.
Okay.
Just because my brother was down at school, and like I told you, it wasn't in my top 3.
Right.
But
yeah.
settled with Virginia Tech, and I love it. Met my best buddies down there, and talk every day.
Yep.
They built me who I am, and it's go Hokies.
Yeah, for sure. How long of a drive is it down to VTech?
It's about a 6-hour drive.
Okay, that's not bad.
It's
at all.
doable.
Yeah, for sure.
And you get in a routine of that, coming home for Thanksgiving break, getting back down there.
Yeah. How are the football games down there? I know
Incredible,
the Enter
man.
Sandman's pretty iconic, right?
Awesome, yeah. They actually just had Metallica come into the stadium to
saw
play
that.
Enter Sandman.
I saw they like set like an earthquake or something. Like they like
Yeah.
officially on the what is it, the Richter scale or something?
I'm
forget
pretty sure that's what it's called. But that happened. Yeah, that happens majority of the games, honestly.
Yeah. It seems
All
like,
the noise is just trapped down there in the mountains,
Yeah.
and the way the stadium's built.
Yeah.
Awesome program.
How many students are at VTech? Like undergrad? How big is it?
30. I don't know. Sometimes I'm really bad with estimating. 33,000 maybe.
Okay. Yeah,
Like in the 30s.
So it's a big school,
Mhm.
but it's definitely like I know it's like hard to get into from what I've like seen just recently too at being a senior. Like a lot of people applied to VTech, a lot of people didn't get in. Their
Yeah.
decision also came out like I don't know if this is how it was for you, but their decision comes out so late. Like this year, it came out in like late April or something, like weeks before you had to make your decision.
Yeah, was it
It's
May
crazy.
1st?
Yeah,
Yeah,
May 1st.
mhm.
Yeah, it came out like April 20th or something crazy.
And you're going to lose interest from people there
right
who are
yeah.
trying to commit to a school and just say, I
Yeah.
got to get this down now so I
Yeah.
can start focusing on the next 6 months.
Yeah, for me, it was so hard.
Mhm.
Like I struggled. Like I told you, I went to Tampa like days before the decision, so I was holding off for that. And then I was like set on Westchester, and then Tampa like screwed with my mind. And then like the last days leading up to May 1st, I was just like Westchester, Tampa, Westchester. But like I said,
You build out your pros and cons list.
yep.
I remember
So
those
we
days.
settled. We settled.
Well, you got a good decision, Leo.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So in college, you're doing good, and then walk us through like obviously the cancer diagnosis and everything with that. Like how did it arise? Like when did you start like not feeling great? Like everything. Like where did that come from?
Yeah. So freshman year, down at high school, everything was fine. First semester went well. Was rushing a fraternity or rushed a fraternity. Got a bid from the fraternity. Started pledging it. Leading into Christmas break, and then getting back onto the campus spring semester of freshman year. So 2020 at that time.
Okay.
Right when
Yeah.
COVID happened, we get sent home. So we come home for that semester, all summer, the COVID summer, the party summer, especially for those college kids. Everything's fine. I didn't have many symptoms around that time. It would just be quick blackouts that I would either just associate with I'm dehydrated, I'm hungover, or something else like that. But then I started thinking about it at the time. I had those symptoms for 2, maybe 3 years, like leading into that. And I always thought it would just be the dehydration aspect. And I would tell my mom sometimes, and other times I wouldn't. I mean, I was just a young kid, just trying to muscle it up and get through it.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't bring it up until somebody would see it happen. So sophomore year, still the kind of a COVID semester, I move into the fraternity house. Everything was fine there. We had COVID regulations. We had to mask up. We were walking in the hallways. It was like 30 houseboys in there.
And this is fall of 2020?
Fall of 2020,
Okay.
correct. Yeah. So back down on campus, they still had some of the restrictions in place. Come home for Christmas break that time. Say it's the last week of December, I go up to Connecticut to visit my good buddies. It was actually my hallmates at the time. Go up to Connecticut, go to New Haven, get some good pizza, enjoy our time. It's around college football playoff. So we got everything going. We got 2 TVs in the basement, eating pizza, drinking beer, nothing to complain about. Next morning, I wake up Sunday. It's all right, time to go back home, driving. I actually drove to Staten Island because I met my buddy lived in Staten Island, kind of split the trip in half. He drove from New York up to Connecticut, and I just came from Westchester. So it was only a 2-hour drive for me. Get in the car, and I'm just pounding with headaches. Like, I don't know what's going on here. And then, again, throw it to the hangover. We're just drinking all weekend. Oh, it's just headaches from that. I get home, everything's fine. It would just be sporadic. It would come in waves and then it would stop. I'd go to sleep. I wouldn't really wake up with any pain. But when I would get off like a couch or get off my bed and stand up, I'd get really hazy and just foggy eyes, which I would think would just be dehydration. 2 weeks go by. It's probably, I think it's the first week of January of 2021. I get wisdom teeth surgery. Start off 2021. Nothing to beat that.
Yeah.
Get wisdom teeth surgery. Week later, it's a nice day in January. You don't get those. We play golf. We play a round of golf. 18.
Okay.
Over in
Where do you play
Downingtown
at?
with my buddy. I
Okay.
think it was Whitford.
Okay.
So I'm playing that day. A couple Moscow mules on the turn, like throwing in, okay, I'm drinking. I'm having a headache here. I think it's about hole 16. I go down and put my ball on the tee. And I get up and I'm just, whoa, like my eyes are just so dizzy. And I'm with my buddy. We're playing, having a good time. I didn't bring it up then. But then I got home and I knew I was like, I need to get this checked out. I'm going back to school in should be 2 weeks to go back down for my spring semester of 2021.
Okay.
And that would have been the first back to semester. Like everything is good because it's post-COVID. Live in the fraternity house. We're going to have parties every weekend, every week, nonstop. The life of a college kid.
Right.
Go into an emergency clinic, or I guess just like a typical healthcare clinic over on Westchester Pike. Mainline Health.
Like
an
urgent care type
No,
of vibe,
it was kind of like the family doctor.
Okay.
I was a new patient at the time. My dad was going to the doctor. And at the time with COVID and having new patients, it wasn't really a thing. Doctors were just turning away people because it's like, we're so booked up here. We can't take anybody new on. But somehow my dad got me in. He's like, we need to get Shane in here and checked out because he's going back to school in in 3 days. It's probably, I think it was a Wednesday. I go in, tell my doctor all the symptoms I have. First time I'm meeting him. Having all these headaches. I'm having quick blackouts. I'm losing balance here. He sits me down. He's like, oh, I don't really know what's going on, but I think this should be seen by Paoli Hospital. I think you should go over and get a CAT scan there. I'm like, all right, that's fine. We leave for college in 72 hours. We're going to be fine. Get over to Paoli Hospital the next morning, like 9 a.m. We go in, sit in the waiting room, and go get a CAT scan. I get called back. It's my dad and myself. I actually drove to Paoli, thinking that I would get in the car and drive home. Everything would be fine. They would just be like, oh, I don't know. It's probably just low sugar or something they make up here, low sodium. Park the car. We go in. Waiting room, like I said. Get called back. Have the CAT scan. Quick scan and nothing. I mean, it doesn't hurt at all. It's just you go in a machine, you get out of a machine. 15, 20 minutes later, a doctor comes out. We're going to have a talk with you real quick. Can you go grab your dad? I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm still a young kid. I'm like, yeah, it should be no problem. I didn't have many run-ins with the doctors, any health appointments, maybe just a couple bang-ups and a couple head being hit, losing some blood there, going in.
Mm-hmm.
I go into the back, and my dad's walking with me. We go into a filing cabinet room. I was like, this makes zero sense. Like, sure, you can't bear bad news in this dark of a room here. Doctor, myself, and my dad. They're like, oh, we see something on your cerebellum back here. It looks like to be a tumor. We're going to have to put you in the ER here, and we're going to have to figure it out. I'm just like, what the hell is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got to go to college, and I got to go to college in 48 hours now. So they take me to the ER room, and we actually had a relative that was a nurse at Paoli Hospital. We kind of wanted a second evaluation. We're like, you tell us these bad news. We need to confirm with somebody else who can relate to us from our side. So the relative came down and was just spending time with us in the ER, just waiting there. I was in a room, just sitting on a bed. My mom was there all masked up. They still had regulations in place just with the way the medical field was working. And they got a surgeon from Jefferson Neurosurgery Department got him on the phone and was like, we want you to see this because we don't know what the next steps to take. We want you to evaluate this tumor. So we're going to have Shane sit in the ER, and then we'll throw him in an ambulance, and we'll send him down to Philly that night. That was all in one day. And I'm still thinking, I'm like, okay, well, I'll get an ambulance, go down, we'll get it checked out. It shouldn't be a big issue. And we'll get back home, we'll get in our car, and we'll drive to Virginia Tech. 2 days. No. That's not the way it worked. So a lot of thoughts were going in my mind. I got put into an ambulance. Doors were shut. My mom and my brother just right behind the windows of the ambulance back door. And shut the doors and peace. That's all it was. I go drive down. Actually, one of the drivers was a young girl from Henderson. So she had her license. She was learning to be an EMT. She was in the passenger seat of the ambulance. There was an older gentleman driving. I was just chit-chatting with them, having a good time. Didn't think anything was wrong. Get on the Blue Roo. We go down. Or no, it wasn't Blue Roo. It was the Schuylkill, the worst road out there. On the Schuylkill.
Horrible.
In an ambulance, on the bed in the back, and taking pictures, sending my friends down at college. I'm like, some of them are down at school already. I'm like, yo, guys, just want to let you know that I'm in an ambulance right now. They got a tumor in the back of my, so it's actually right back here. There's a scar there.
Okay.
Back on the left side of my brain. I don't know what's going on, but I'll keep you updated. We're driving down to Jefferson University Hospital. They throw me into just another hospital room. Sitting there, MRIs at like 1:45 in the morning, just trying to get everything figured out and just put all the plan in the notes so the next time the doctor comes in the morning, this is what we're going to be doing. And yeah, from there, it kind of just, it took off. Those two big days right there. It went from golfing into the ER, ambulance, all the way down to Philly and start planning for brain surgery.
Yeah.
And that was a little different there.
So like all this happened like just so quick. Like where was your mind at? Like did it go from, like you said you weren't worried, did it go? Did you like, was there fear there quickly at all? Were you scared at all, or where was your mind at?
I think I was just a bit uneasy.
Okay.
Just being around the ER, the ambulance, getting into Philly. I mean, Philly's loud and busy.
Yeah.
A lot different than the suburbs,
Totally.
especially for a
Yeah.
hospital. It's like you want to be as relaxed as you can be, but getting thrown into Jefferson, now I'm familiar with the area, so I'm a lot more comfortable there. But pulling into a back alley in an ambulance and getting out and rolled into the downstairs back exit of a Jefferson, like a really big hospital,
Yeah.
is pretty freaky for a 19-year-old.
Right.
So yeah, that was a lot different there. But
Okay.
I wouldn't say I was scared at that point. The more I found out, the more I was getting concerned. I really don't think I was scared at all going into that.
Yeah. So how did it continue to develop, like with brain surgery and everything? Like just when you first heard you were getting brain surgery and what the process was going to be, like walk us through that.
Yeah. So when I first met my neurosurgeon down in the hospital room, he was telling me all the things. Like we see so-and-so size mass. I don't know. A lot of the things, throwing medical terms out there. I'm just like, just give it to me straight. Like, what's going on?
Like, was it already like, was it aggressive? Like, was it already well developed? Like, you didn't catch it like super early? Like, it was already like progressive?
So from that side, you don't know if it's a malignant or is it going to be a bad tumor or a good tumor. There's sometimes, I'm not wanting to say good tumors, but there's benign tumors.
Right.
Those just aren't the threatening ones. Those are the ones that you can leave in. Like I actually have a benign tumor on my thyroid right now, which we're just monitoring. It's no big deal.
Right.
It doesn't cause any symptoms. But at the time they saw it, I don't know how long it's been there. It could have been there in my entire life. But I'd say when I was 15 or 16 years old, I did get an MRI. And that was the last time I got an MRI before the CAT scan that saw the tumor. So maybe I would assume it had to have grown at that time. But yeah, it was just that.
Do they have any reasons why they think it could have grown or anything like that?
They didn't really give me reasons with that.
Okay.
I do have there's something genetic in my family that we have it's called LFS, Lee-Fermani syndrome. It's I think it's a blood disorder that makes you more prone to tumors.
Okay.
So that's why I guess it kind of grew that quickly. But I had to get MRIs every 6 months to a year when I got tested positive for that LFS syndrome. So that's why they were probably more concerned about the tumor. But I wish I knew when and how much it grew in that timing just to learn that lesson. It was like, you got to be proactive with it.
Yeah. I know I interrupted you at some
No,
point, but you were saying something about going in the brain surgery and continuing the story.
Yeah. No, you're good. So going in the Jefferson University hospital room, get MRIs. A lot of things happened that I was just like very like foggy. Like I just don't remember. I don't recall a lot of things. I mean, there was a bunch of NBA games on. I would sit in the room. I was happy. I would stare at the TV. Hours go by. Couldn't get much sleep. Would call my parents, call my brother, my friends, and I couldn't have any visitors just because it was still COVID regulation times. But that time on, they were trying to find an appointment to book up with the neurosurgeon to try to get a brain surgery booked within the next few weeks because it was a pretty big issue. It's not something you just want to sit there and monitor because I guess they didn't really tell me how bad it could have been, but they knew it had to get taken out.
Okay.
So I was in the hospital January 16th, I think is when they found the tumor. I don't know what day of the week that was, but the following week, I got scheduled for a brain surgery, January 20th. So pretty short amount of days right there. A lot of thoughts were flowing through my head there, but the instant they found my tumor, they put me on steroids. Because what steroids do, the medical steroids, so what they do is they reduce the swelling of the tumor as much as it can. It won't shrink it all the way, but it reduces it and maintains it at a certain point so it doesn't get worse. Okay. So they threw me on steroids, but with that, side effects came that I had increased appetite, acne started growing like crazy, and I put on so much weight. Even within like the 4 days there. But like as the story goes on, I'll bring it up later too. But my weight skyrocketed and then just crashed, just because the way the treatment was working. But yeah, the brain surgery on January 20th was an early brain surgery. Got down there like 5 in the morning, got all prepped. They put a hairnet on me, just hanging out, and the youngest kid in there, and my mom's down there getting emotional, and I'm like, Mom, it's all right. Like, we're just going to go in. We're fine. And the way my doctor said, my neurosurgeon at the time, he's like, Suzanne, my mom's name is Suzanne. He's like, Suzanne, he's just going to come out with a bad haircut. He was a jokester. He's like, he's just going to come out with a bad haircut. And I'm sitting there, like, signing papers like, yeah, I consent to all these, and if I die, I die.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not reading all these sheets.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the agreements that you see on your iPhone when they pop up. It's like agree.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
Exactly.
Like,
I'm like, I want this thing out, so do whatever you need, and yeah, that was it.
Yeah. That's so how long was the surgery? Like, how long does that take?
The surgery was, they put me under anesthesia, obviously. Wasn't awake for that. But I think the surgery took about 4.5 hours, I want to say.
Wow. That's like just
weird.
I wish Kyle was here because Kyle wants to go into physical therapy.
Okay.
Like, so he's very like health based and stuff like that, but like just like interested in the science behind it and everything. Like that's crazy. Like you said, the tumor and everything. Like, but just taking like, how does the surgery take that many hours? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like so like where was it? It was on the back part of your brain,
So
like around
back,
here.
yeah, back here on my cerebellum, and the cerebellum controls your balance and movement.
Okay.
So that explains why sometimes I lost balance, and
Yeah.
I think it had an impact on my vision as well.
Okay.
So I think it was more of I'm not a science guy,
Yeah.
but the occipital lobe is somewhere back there.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, that they just got it there and they removed it. and there was probably 5 to 6 doctors in the surgery room. I like to play a game when I go under anesthesia. I went under anesthesia multiple times. One for the wisdom surgery, and that was 2 weeks before. I played a game there, is trying to stay awake for as long as I can.
How long have you made it?
No, I don't know because I'm knocked out. By the time it starts, I'm just cold.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yep.
Yeah.
So after you got out of the brain surgery, like how were you? How are you feeling? Like what's the recovery process like? Kind of like what's the whole deal like with that?
So I got out of brain surgery, and I was put in I think it was the ICU for what was supposed to be like 48 hours. Was sitting in a bed. I got out of surgery and I woke up in the bed. Different floor and everything, and I'm just like, I don't know where I am right now. I couldn't move my neck side to side because the way the surgery worked is they went in and they pulled my muscle. This is the way they had to get to the tumor to resect it. They went in, broke up in my skull, took out the tumor, but on the process they had to yank my muscle back. So it's kind of like you're at the gym and you're just pulling your muscle all day. They're tired. They're not used to it. So it took me a while to get back to the rotation of going side to side with my neck. But being in a bed and having the TV straight ahead after surgery, I didn't have to move my head too much.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, so continuing the story, after that.
So I was in the ICU, then they dropped me down to a different floor just because I was progressing and recovering a little bit better. I actually got discharged quicker than I thought, like a lot quicker than I thought. More so because I wanted to. I had some roommates at the time that were very just like disgusting. Like they were very gross. You're eating, they're having people deliver stuff to them. They're eating funky food, and I'm just like getting nauseous. I'm like, I need to get out of here. Once again, knew somebody that worked in that hospital as well. Had them come down, and they were able to help me out and work something with the workstation and say, hey, like nurses, we got to focus on this guy and see if we can get him either progressed up a little bit or just get him out as soon as we can. Everything was fine to get like successfully discharged. Kind of wasn't like free willy, like running free from the hospital. But yeah, I got discharged quicker than I thought. So then the journey of getting back home, driving back in the car with my mom and dad on 95, bouncy potholes, typical potholes, not friendly with post-surgery recovering there, especially without me being able to move my neck. But I got home, and then it started turning out to what's the next steps. We got to start planning for, is it going to be a cancerous tumor or is it going to be a benign tumor? So then my tumor was sent down to St. Jude's Hospital in Tennessee. I think it's Memphis is the home city for them. Went down there for research. They figured out what it was, and then they determined it was medulloblastoma, which is a rare form of brain cancer, especially in children. So I got diagnosed with that. Pretty weird story of how I got diagnosed there. I actually got a voicemail from a nurse calling me. It was just a random number, so I really didn't typically answer random numbers, and called me. Hey Shane, it's nurse so and so. We need to start planning your cancer treatment. I was like, cancer treatment? I haven't heard that C word in a while. Like, we didn't even talk about cancer at all when I was getting surgery or recovering. Mm-hmm. So I learned I had cancer from a voicemail, which was nuts. And immediately I go to my mom. I'm like, we need to clarify this. We got to go call him back. And then whole nurse team called us. I remember we're sitting at our kitchen table. We got a yellow notepad just sitting on there, like taking notes as much as we can for the call. My mom, my dad, they tell me we got medulloblastoma. They're writing down, and at that point, I still wasn't fearing anything. I kind of just was like, oh, it is what it is. Like, you can only control what you can control. Right. So once I found that out, I didn't know the specifics of the next 8 months, what it was going to look like. But at that point, I knew wholeheartedly I was not going back to school for the time being, which hurt, but
yeah. So at that point, were you scared at all with cancer, or where was your mind at? Like, what was your mindset at?
It's a good question because in my family, there's been a lot of cancer cases, especially my mom's side. She had one of her sisters pass away when she was younger. She was 21 years old. She passed away with cancer. And then my godmother, another one of my mom's sisters, she passed away to cancer. So growing up and being exposed to how the cancer impacted her, I knew we were in for a battle, and that's when I kind of was like evaluating. I'm like, okay, this is no joke at all.
Mm-hmm.
And to see my parents break down, and I'm sure they broke down behind doors too, even worse than they would show in front of me. It was really serious at that time, but I didn't know what treatment and what side effects I'd be going through. So it's kind of just like running off of adrenaline at that point, and just, okay, whatever it is, we're gonna just have to power through it.
Yeah. Yep. So with that, like the next step, like what, radiation was that kind of the first form of treatment?
Yeah. So the plan from that time, let's say January, we'll just throw it February 1st. So when I got diagnosed. Got diagnosed with cancer. Probably took him one business week to start putting a plan together and what route are we going to take. And the route they settled with was 30 rounds of radiation. It's just proton therapy down at University City in Philly. It's targeted, I guess it's like electric radiation that they just go right to where the tumor was, and they kind of just like burn the cells. I don't know entirely how the science works, but they just burned that scarring right there, so it wouldn't come back in that spot. So I would go down 5 days a week. I'd have the weekends off for 30 straight rounds. And that was the month of February leading into March. But the way radiation worked is they had a mask where they molded to your face and you couldn't move at all which started with an hour and a half. So it started with an hour and a half, and as the rounds went on from 30 to 29 all the way down to 1, it got shorter and shorter just because my body was more accustomed to it and I didn't need as much radiation because they attacked it strong. They started out hot. That really wiped me out pretty quickly, but my body started to get used to it. Some weird side effects that I had no idea what was going on. Some that were just inexplainable. The doctors were just confused. It was like, oh, why do you have a metallic taste going on? And why can't you eat food? The only side effect that they could really tell was I was losing my hair. But the way the mask worked is it was molded so accurately, so precisely to my face that even if I like shaved, it would be off. So I couldn't shave anything on my face. Like I couldn't, my hair was just, I didn't grow much facial hair. So shaving my facial hair wasn't a problem, but it was my hair that was a problem because I would lose clumps of hair from radiation.
Okay.
It would just keep falling out because the hair follicles were getting so weak from the radiation in the back.
Yep.
It was just burning the follicles. I'd wake up in the morning back home and just have hair on my pillow. My mom was washing the pillowcases every day. Just like, get one in, get one out. I'd wake up, my blanket's just full of hair. And it was depressing. It was just like, oh my God, I slept through this. Kind of gross. And yeah, that's how the side effects worked with that. I didn't have any appetite. Everything tasted like crap just because it's kind of like a microwave just burning back there. So I didn't want to eat. Was losing weight. All the weight that I added on from the steroids, I went from 150 was the starting weight, jumped up to 172. So I put on like 22 to like 25 pounds of weight because the steroids was just cranking my appetite. I was eating Dairy Queen every night, was having Wendy's Frosties, cheesesteaks, like 5 meals a day. I couldn't stop eating just because the steroids was just ramping up the appetite. But it paid off because I couldn't eat towards the end of treatment. So all of the fat I put on, I looked disgusting, and the acne was blowing up, hair was losing everything. All the weight I put on just slowly declined, and then it just took off, just like a company just going out. Like the stock just tanked all the way down to zero.
Yeah.
Just hit rock bottom there. I dropped from 172 to like 127.
Wow.
Lost all that weight, and it was just eating away at my body.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And then, so you had 30 rounds of radiation, and then were you like evaluated for if you needed chemo? Like, or did they know right away you're like, you were going to be doing chemo as well?
Yeah, they laid the plan out right from the jump after surgery, and when I got diagnosed, they're like, all right, here it is. You're going to be doing 30 rounds of proton radiation, and then you're going to go into 4 rounds of chemotherapy once every month. But in between the radiation and the chemo, they actually gave me a month off, which was nice. So the back end of March going into April, I had completely off. Side effects were still there. I mean, tried as much as I could to eat and get healthy going into chemo. Parents pushed me really hard to try to fuel the body. My mom knew what chemo looked like. She's had her own battles with cancer, and she knew exactly what you need to be doing here, and she's seen her sisters go through it. It's a different drug that's just pumping you with like poison.
Yeah.
And your body just it doesn't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how did you deal with what did you have like similar side effects with chemo, or did you have like a completely different set of side effects?
From chemo, that was a lot different because it was a lot of IV work. It was a lot of hands-on and fluids going through the body rather than the electrons going into the body. So I guess the electricity wasn't really physical. Like I didn't feel any of that. I didn't have any pain. I actually kind of enjoyed going down there because I was able to listen to music. I had good nurses down there. Music was bumping in the room. Like I was playing some indie folk.
That's fun.
Yeah, it was
What
a
were you
good
bumping?
time.
What artists?
So my brother actually sent me a playlist. It was Australian indie folk, and my top one was Ziggy Alberts. I'm not sure if you ever heard of him.
No, I haven't.
So I had
Check him out.
a love-hate with indie folk relationship or music at that time
Okay.
because I was going through treatment. I'm like, I'm so happy here, but then there was bad days, and I'd still play the same music. So I was just getting pulled, and I'm like, I got to switch it up. And then after that, I took the post-treatment. I took 2 years off of that music, and now I'm back to normal with that music.
Okay. Interesting. Australian indie folk.
Australian indie
It's
folk.
unique.
Yeah, I actually reached out to one of the music artists that I was listening to, told him my story. He sent me a signed book.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it was living the dream. Reading that book, it was just a bunch of poems.
That's awesome. Big. All right. So continue with chemo. So you're saying how it's run through your body, pumping through your
Yeah.
body. I forget if we
No.
were on anything else.
A lot of infections
Okay.
for chemo. Since it was the fluids going through and the body was just not used to it, body got sick. It was basically just being sick for 4 months.
Okay.
Each round would have its waves. It would go in. I think it would go in on a Thursday or a Friday, get some rounds of chemo, and the next Monday I'd have to come in for like a second bag. Like a full round consisted of going in and sitting in the hospital for anywhere from 24 to 36, 48 hours, just based on how the body was handling that round of treatment. There were some bad rounds where I had to stay in the hospital longer because I couldn't get the treatment back home. So the first round went okay, but the side effects started to get worse in the second round because my body knew it was something off. Like, why is this coming into my body? Now I have to realize and try to fight it. So the second round was pretty brutal. I just was very weak. The veins were really weak. Appetite, non-existent at all. Lost all my weight. I would get these procedures called like a lumbar puncture. Something in my spine because they had to check my spinal fluid. Most painful things I will ever get. And I, later in the treatment, had to talk to the doctor. This was post completing treatment. I'm like, we need to stop those because I was supposed to go in every 6 months. But that was a very painful form of treatment there, is they were monitoring the spinal fluid in the back to make sure there was no cancer cells there.
Okay. What was the, like, where was the pain coming from? Like, what was the process like?
It's pretty gory. You can cut this out if you want, but it was like a 12-inch needle, and I had to lay on a hospital bed in the fetal position.
Sure.
And the nurse would or my doctor would be behind me and went in between, I think, my L3 and L4 and had to pull. It was like a very strong pressure from that needle. It pulled stem cells out of the back. And they would have to test them.
Yeah.
And that process, I think I had that done 3 times, and I got to the breaking point.
Yeah, that's horrible.
They would numb it a little bit, just in the back, but it was so painful there.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and I want to talk about like how important was like your support system during this time, where you're like, you had like your buddies, your friends, your family, like what were they doing for you at the time?
that was the biggest thing, and I'm so grateful for all the people that I had behind me supporting there. That month of April was one of the biggest support times. Even during radiation too, I had neighbors, family, friends, so much food getting dropped off. I was too spoiled for that, for all the love and support, and so much food. Like my parents they didn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
It was great, and I didn't have to worry about anything. I always had a meal whenever I wanted. Good Italian dinners and ice cream, desserts, nonstop. I was enjoying it. That April, I went down to Virginia Tech to go pay a surprise visit back down to my fraternity. It was just one weekend. I think they had a beer dye tournament going on, and my brother was still down at school there, and he knew what I was going to. He was the messenger. Just like, all right, you take whatever I told him. He would tell everyone down there, Shane's doing well. He's going through a tough time here. He's battling these conditions, but he would know how to twist the words in a better way. Just don't spill everything.
Yeah.
Just tell him what you need to know. So went down there, paid a visit. It was an awesome weekend. Had a couple beers, and for not drinking for a while there, it was a lightweight. I think one Michelob Ultra did the trick there. Was down there, and that was a heck of a weekend. I think it was like a Friday to a Sunday. It was nice to get out of my house and just get off of the bed and get down there. Rough weekend. I had some side effects going down there. Still couldn't eat.
Yeah.
But the lack of appetite thing was the biggest factor in those months or those weeks of April leading into chemo. It was tough to try to get my body as strong as it could.
Right.
But before chemo started, the last thing I did was went to the Sixers game. I took 3 of my buddies. We went there. It was the last Sixers game of the regular season. They played the Magic. Never forget. I was sitting courtside. COVID regulations still, so 4 batches of 4 seats were spaced off. Like courtside, you don't see that anymore. 72, 80 seats all in a row.
Yeah.
Now you have 10 groups of 4 or something down the line. Watched that game, came home, next morning, chemo started. So that was my good vacation I had off for April going into May. I think I started chemo May 17th or something, but
yeah,
it was a nice time off.
Yeah, for sure. And then by the time, like, I don't know if this is skipping forward too much, but so by the time like chemo is over, I know we already like touched on chemo. So where were you at? Like, was the treatment deemed successful, and what were the doctors saying at that point?
So when chemo was completed, I was supposed to be put on a few more months of treatment, just the way my trial was working. The plan they gave out to me was like radiation, chemo, and you'll take a post-chemo pill. But I rang the bell August 16th to be cancer-free of 2021. So it was an 8-month battle that I wanted to be done treatment there and have nothing else to do with medical-wise. They put me onto a post-chemo pill. It was basically just a round of chemo and a pill. And I'm supposed to go back to school in 2 months. Like, supposed to go back down there for October. I think I delayed my return to campus until October of that year. But I had a meeting with my doctor. I'm like, I rang the bell. Like, you need to tell me what the data is, what's going on with this post-chemo pill. Is it actually going to be effective? Like, do you have any statistics of I need to take this or I don't need to take it? They told me, they're like, we're still working on research there. So I gambled. I discontinued the pill. I'm like, I don't want to feel like crap anymore. I already rang the bell. Like, I mean, ringing the bell does not, like, your body's not like, okay, we rang the bell. Like, we're done. Like, we're done chemo. We're done cancer, everything. It can come up. But I rang the bell. My body was in a good spot. I felt healthy. It took me time to get back into the normal being, but I ditched the chemo pill. I still go in for checkups, MRIs. But yeah, I was deemed cancer-free August 16th, 2021.
That's awesome. How was everyone feeling at that point? How are you feeling at that point? Like, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Like, you still said, like, you know, it doesn't mean it's over, but mentally, like, it probably had to feel pretty great.
Yeah, it did feel great. August 16th, I remember I was in there. You would think in one of the biggest children's hospital in the country, in Philly, with the bell and what the bell signifies. You got the Liberty Bell. You'd think it'd be a nice big bell that I can go ring, the tiniest little thing ever. So I ring that bell. I'm rocking a JT Realmuto jersey. I get in the car with my mom and dad. Oh, it was a Friday. Driving back home, knowing I have to go back into CHOP, Children's Hospital, on Monday to get my final round, because it was a Friday treatment going into, you take the weekend off, you come in Monday to finish up that actual round. So I rang the bell early on a Friday. That was the bulk of that round. Went in for Monday, just like a quick bag. I was fine. No issues. Friday, I'm driving home, and little did I know, a lot of my buddies came up from, it was summer, so they came up from their respective places, Virginia. Some came down from New York, Connecticut. Surprised me. They're hiding behind doors. I come in the front door. They're hiding behind in my living room. I kind of had a feeling that one of them was going to come there, just because they knew. Like, I kept them updated the entire time.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm coming home. 5, 6 guys. They all planned a surprise behind my back. It was just incredible, just walking in the door, seeing them. Got a group picture. I looked like crap. I can send you the group picture after, but yeah, that's the way it ended, and chemo was done August 16th, or I guess August 19th, 17, 18, in the weekend, and August 19th. And that was the last of making the hospital my second home every 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Like I said, that's totally awesome.
Thank you.
And so once you beat cancer and everything, like, did you quickly start to have the urge to get, like, healthy again, get back to normal life, obviously? And was that kind of like a fire burning in you to, like, you know, get back to normal life quickly?
Yeah, that was a big thing. Being in college and being such a smaller kid. I grew up my entire life just being a smaller kid. I loved staying fit, but I never had the confidence in the gym. I was never able to build up to my peers. I was 4'11" my entire life playing sports. I was the small point guard. I was the left midi playing soccer. I was always pushed around, pushed on the ground. But it didn't start, like, that passion to get bigger and better didn't start until seeing myself rock bottom during treatment and just seeing how weak a body can get. I just knew how strong a body could get. From that point, you're already at your worst.
Yeah.
You can't get much worse than that. So do whatever you need to do to just get better. So I started lifting with all my bigger friends down in school. I'm like, I'm coming with you. We're going to the gym. We're getting on this schedule. We're going to play pickup basketball. We're going to do this. Lost all my touch in basketball from the treatment and stuff. Lost my agility, but slowly I started to get into the activity side of things, and I did have that burning fire passion to just see how far my body could bounce back there.
Yeah. Were you motivated by, like, anything in specific? Were you taking motivation from anyone or anything, or was you just taking motivation from yourself, like just beating cancer?
Yeah, that's a good one.
David Goggins.
Yeah, that David Goggins stint didn't start until when I actually wanted to start getting running. So a few months later, but
I see the Jocko hydration too.
shout out Jocko.
Is that good? Where do you get
It's
that?
pretty good. So I actually got a full case of it from a vitamin shop down in, I think it was Burke. They were doing a closing door sale, 75% off. I went in, threw my credit card down. I'm like, we're taking as much as we can out here.
Yeah.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
But back in, I think it was junior year when I returned to campus in October, I lived with 3 gym goers at the time, especially one who was actually from the area out in Unionville. Shout out Connor. He pushed me in the gym a lot of times. It was always latching on to him. He was a strong dude. He still is a strong dude, but the way I was working in with his sets was always me pulling off 245 plates off it. I'm like, I need to start with a 10-pound. I got to start a lot lower. So, yeah, we had longer gym sessions. Just a lot different being strength-wise. But I started to build it up quickly just because being so frail, and I was down to 125, 130 pounds, like I said, it's pretty easy to, like, if you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy to throw on weight quickly. And I started reaching out to people I would just see if I was scrolling on Instagram, and I met some guy, Tyler Gannis. He was a coach. I think his mom worked for Isogenics, which is a protein company, nutrition company.
Yeah.
I saw he was doing some ad for them, and I just reached out to him. I just sent him a DM and told him my story. Hey, I see you're active right now. You play college baseball, still playing college baseball. Like, can you help me get into that? I really want to bounce back, but I want to do it the right way. I don't want to be dirty bulking and just throwing a bunch of crap into my body. I want to do it the healthy way. So I started pounding protein shakes. I'd be up early in the morning, just being so weak. I wanted to go work out before people were in the gym.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like people seeing the way I was, especially in a college town.
Mm-hmm.
Just being in college, and my hair is still down to like the 3rd grade buzz cut that you would go get with which I did with my dad all the time. That's what it was. It was just, I didn't look the best, but I wanted to be in there as early as I could to become some of the best quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So it was early mornings, pounding protein shakes in the morning. Wasn't the best. I mean, was full as I could be going into the gym, get home, protein shake. I had a gym in my apartment, which was really nice. Brand new apartment. Just walk down the elevator, take it down 1 floor, go right into the gym. There was no excuse not to get to the gym every day.
That's super convenient.
So exactly, yeah.
What was I gonna say? So when did you start getting into like the endurance stuff, like the running and the triathlons and stuff like that?
So around that same time when I started lifting in that apartment gym, they had really nice treadmills. Okay. And one day, I just went on the treadmill and was like, all right, let's just see if we can walk a mile here. There was days that I couldn't do a mile just because of how weak I was. And then I started throwing in walk jogs. Just get on the treadmill and see how long we can jog until we have to walk. Eventually got up to running a mile on the treadmill, but it wasn't until probably 10 months later, because I was back in college. I really didn't focus on running at that time. I missed so much time from going through treatment. I wanted to make up the time that I missed. So I was partying, I was lifting. It was just the dirty bulking of beers to go into the gym with the boys. Started running July of 2022, I'd say, because my buddies and I, we committed to signing up for the Virginia Tech Hokie Half Marathon that they had in October of 2022. So I had to start running. Can't go into a half marathon. Cold turkey there. Yeah. And that's no fun. You probably start training. You're like, signed up for that race. We're going to plan out some weeks. We got to start training now. Started running down the beach when I lived down there working July of 2022.
What beach?
Seattle City.
Oh yeah.
Good old days down there. Was running down the beach. I started out on Nike Run Club, so I go back some days just to reminisce on the old runs. Started out with a mile, 3 miles, 5 miles. Just kept on stacking. See how far we can go. 7 miles. Knew I had to get to the 13-mile half marathon. So we get back to school in August, and we had a nice trail. Went around our stadiums, went up to our recreation field where we played intramurals. Probably like a 5-mile trail. I was in a different apartment complex now. So I'm going from that apartment down the main street, down the trail, just doing that as many times as I can, leading into the half marathon. Pretty hilly down there in Blacksburg. So that half marathon was in October of 2022, and 4 of us did it, including myself. I came in last out of my friend group. Okay. They kicked my ass on those hills. That was a mean course. I walked some of it. I had my hydration water pack. I had my long sleeve. I was all bundled up. I'm like, oh yeah, this is like, there was no David Goggins in that thought right there. It was not that cold, but it was a hilly course. It was mean. It was a good humbling experience for a first race. Mm-hmm. So I got that half marathon under my belt. And then the moment we finished that, I think we went back to the apartment complex. And I was talking to my buddies. We actually have a picture of us all like going in, 4 hands. We all committed to the Philly Marathon 4 weeks later. So that same year, we did the half marathon in October and then the full marathon in November. Not the smartest thing to do. It's really quickly to go 4 weeks in that distance. It's not efficient at all. Right. Like, we didn't know what we were thinking. We were just like, oh, we finished a half marathon. Let's go do a full marathon now. No. But we all did it. Yeah. We all committed there. And that's when the fitness started really stacking up, especially the running side of things. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I gotta do the marathon. I gotta sign up for it, man. Yeah. I got to. It's just like, this is a question, like, so with all these long races, like 50 plus miles type of deal, like where are you building the time in the train for all that? Because it's like just thinking like, all right, I trained for a half marathon. Now, like, I have to spend twice as much time running every week. You know what I mean? So I have to find the time for that, which, you know, you can make it work if you want to. If there's a will, there's a way. Exactly. But what's kind of your weekly schedule like with all these long training days and peak weeks and stuff like that? Right now, it's taking it up a notch. But from back to the glory days of starting out with the half marathon, it was kind of just get out of situations that you didn't need to be in. Okay. to find time. Yeah. Still plan out your time with social activities and do what everyone else is going to do. But you got to prioritize what you need to get done, and if you're not doing that, you're just going to fail short of your goal. Yeah. So I learned that really quickly. And I think it was my senior year. I was on spring break, but I jumped into endurance because of my brother. Him and his buddies, they do an ultramarathon every year down in Virginia, the Shenandoah Acres. There's mountains down there. Pretty mean course. It's called Belmonte. Okay. They have a 25K, which is 16 miles, and then they have a 30K, which is like 32, 33 miles. Then they have a 50-miler. Okay. So for the past 4 years, they've been doing that race. And I latched on there and really got thrown into the training style of what they were doing. And I saw behind the scenes of what they were doing day by day and week by week and how they planned their endurance training. So learning from them really helped me form what I am doing nowadays. It's just, you got to be up early. It's early training days, sometimes late nights, but you got to prioritize sleep. You got to recover. You just got to figure out what works for you, and if you really want to get the goal done, you need to plan around that. Right. And that's what I was throwing into my planning. So right now, with Ironman training, it's 2-a-days, 3-a-days are coming up soon. But the long workouts are on the weekend, Just
Yeah.
it's tough tackling with a full-time job, and
Right.
sometimes my Ironman training becomes my full-time job more
Yeah.
so than my full-time job is.
Yeah.
happens.
So what's the Ironman you're looking for right now?
So the Ironman I'm going to be doing is July 20th, Ironman Lake Placid.
Okay.
One of the most difficult Ironmans, if not the most difficult bike course out
Okay.
there. I'm doing that with 2 buddies, actually, so it's going to be cool. A lot of family members are going up, some friends. It's up in New York,
Yeah.
Adirondack Mountains, beautiful sights.
What do you find when you're getting into the triathlon space with the Ironmans? What did you find hardest? Was it the swimming? Because I feel like the swimming is always an answer.
Yeah.
For people that aren't swimmers.
Yeah, I didn't grow up around the pool.
Yeah.
Wish I did, looking back on it now and the struggles I see in the swim workouts.
Because like how many miles of swimming? Like I know it's meters, but how many miles of swimming is it in an Ironman?
Ironman's 2.4 miles.
Okay.
Swimming.
So it's like you hear 2.4 miles swimming, it's like what do you say is 2.4 miles of swimming equally as hard as 26 miles of running? Like is it that much harder?
No.
Okay.
2.4 miles alone is more manageable than a full marathon running.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it depends where you start from. Like, different people have the base of swimming or they have the
Yeah.
base of running. I went into triathlon with the base of running.
Right.
Learned biking pretty quickly because running muscles translate a little bit to biking more so than swimming.
Mm-hmm.
But I just learned swimming by getting in the water and trying to figure out. I still don't know the best way to swim, and I'm learning every day.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
But yeah, swimming, I think more so I'm just in my head sometimes with swimming. It's not the hardest thing. It's not supposed to be the hardest thing because you got 138 miles after.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You just got to survive the swim. That's what I tell people is get through it, get to the bike. That's the biggest one, especially for this race with the elevation.
And is that always how it is? Is it always start with swim, bike, and then run?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they start with the swim because it's the most dangerous, but I could just be assuming that and making that up. But if I would have had to imagine that they don't want to put the swim anywhere after you're 10 hours in just because it's not safe.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have you seen the Badwater race? Like what is it, like 150 miles?
Yeah.
100 mile.
Yeah.
150.
Is that the one
forget.
Goggins did?
Yeah. We had. Do you know Bart Yasso by chance?
I think I did see clips of this video.
Yeah.
He's got the workouts, right?
Yeah.
The
he's got
800 meters.
Yasso 800. Yeah. Yeah.
Or
So we had him on the pod back in December. He's like
Awesome.
he's a legend. He's a legend in the running world. And he was talking about doing the Badwater, and he was like, the most I've run before that was like 26.2 miles. And now, like, he was like, he got up to the start line, and it's like 110 degrees, and was like, yeah, you're about to run 150 miles up Mount Whitney, I think? I forget. Just it's like straight up a mountain. Like, that race is crazy. Like, I can't imagine that. But, hey, it's like anything, I guess. You just gotta work for it.
Exactly. Those races are a different beast right there.
Yeah.
Ultra marathons, the endurance field is nuts. There's so many different versions of endurance. It's a lot different. It translates a little bit, but it's a lot different than triathlon endurance versus ultra marathon endurance. That's the mental and the physical levels are unreal.
I mean, I think for endurance athletes, it's mental. I think it depends, but I feel like, at least for running, for me, like, I feel like it's mental, like 90 to 10. Like, maybe that's a little extreme, but like, I feel like mentality is everything when you're just running out there alone. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel, but
I was actually watching a podcast the other day. Forgot who was saying it. I think it might have been the Iron Cowboy.
okay.
Do you know James Lawrence? You ever heard of his
It
story?
sounds familiar. Yeah.
He's
What's
done
the story?
He's done pretty crazy challenges. I think he's
Okay.
done 50 Ironmans, 50 days, in 50 states.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was reading Cam Haynes' new book, or listening to the audiobook, Undeniable,
Okay.
and he was talking about Iron Cowboy. I remember listening to a full podcast about James Lawrence back in the day. Decided to get back into it, and now I'm deep diving into his challenges. And for me to think about doing one Ironman right now in Lake Placid, and he can do 50. It's
Yeah.
not. I mean, not Ironman sponsored. Like he was getting crap for this. Not Ironman sponsored. He was kind of just man-made Ironman distances in 50 states in 50 days. But it's just
Still, yeah.
insanity.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. What do you have a favorite race you've done? Did you do the NYC marathon?
I'm signed up for that right now. I fundraised. I'm booked for that in November.
That's gonna be sick. Right?
November 2nd, and I think we're gonna stack up. Oh, I guess I'm committing now. I think we're gonna do Philly Marathon.
Okay.
So we're stacking up New York City Marathon November, and then we're gonna roll into Philly. I think 2 weeks later, 3
Yeah.
weeks.
I mean, right now, if I were to do a marathon, I think a good goal would be like 3.5 hours. That would be my goal right now, because like I ran the half in what did I
You did
run
well in the half.
I think my goal was 100 minutes, so an hour 40, and I like smashed it. I think I ran an hour 36 something.
That's impressive.
So that was at like a 7:15, 7:17 pace or something. Like,
And
so,
that was your longest race.
yeah,
longest distance, right?
That's the longest distance. So if I do a marathon and I go from like a 7:15 say pace to I think a 3:30 marathon would be like a 7:45 pace. Like I feel like that's for sure like not a decrease in pace for distance. Like I feel like it's manageable.
It is, yeah. I think you could get it done.
Yeah.
From, especially what I saw with you for Broad Street and how you fared well there. 3:30. That's a good goal to put for your first marathon.
I know the whole thing is like the 3-hour marathon. That's like a very
Sub-3,
common goal, right? Like, well,
It's getting more common nowadays.
yeah.
Just as running's blowing up and people are just hitting that 3-hour mark. They're shooting for the stars there and they're smashing those goals.
Like we're gonna like the whole thing with like the Eliud Kipchoge thing. Like that isn't like the official like sub 2 hour, right? That was like a.
I think there was something behind
exhibition course or something like that.
It was sponsored by Nike, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It's like when we were talking with Bart Yasso, like he wasn't considering that the official like sub 2 hour marathon still. Like even though he's not denying that was a crazy feat. Still.
Yeah,
Like,
and he did have pacers.
Yeah, I think
So,
that might have been it.
I think that makes it ineligible.
Yeah, but I mean, we're gonna see a sub 2 hour marathon here very soon. I mean, that is just like crazy to me. I mean, even like you see like the winner of the Broad Street run, like even stuff like that. I'm just like, that is just
What was
crazy.
his time?
It was like
53?
40. I thought it was 48 something. I don't. Wait, let me fact check. That.
48 minutes.
Broad Street run 2025 winter time.
I think I saw the finished video of that. There was nobody down there ready to spectate and cheer him on.
46:13. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Oh my goodness. Straight downhill for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know it, but
Yeah,
It
I
is.
mean, so everyone going into my first project show, they're like, "Oh, it's easy course, straight downhill." Like, I'm just like, I was like, I mean, I guess, like, it was like whatever. It wasn't like easy.
No.
Like it just seemed like I was running. You know what I mean?
yeah, you look at the elevation map and it's just straight decline.
Yeah.
But you
There's
don't
a
feel
couple
it.
spikes. Yeah.
Yeah,
you
a couple.
don't feel it.
City Hall, you get up a little bit and then you just keep on going, but
Yeah. Yep.
not noticeable.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite race you've done? Did I just ask that?
I did not answer that one.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to
Sorry,
dodge it.
we
I don't
moved
know.
on.
I don't know. Because if I say it's my favorite race, I think I'm committing to do that race every year. Now, right now, the way I'm looking at the races is which month it is. Like what month is it going to be in and what are my goals for that year. But I really do enjoy the Philly Marathon, but I think it's time to get out of and go try a new city. I will definitely do the Philly Marathon, if not 100% this year. I'm probably leaning towards it. But I think the Philly Marathon eventually will be, you got to fundraise for it.
Really?
It's just because of how popular it is.
Interesting.
Kind of like New York City. I was talking to a director of the foundation that I fundraised for New York City Marathon. And I brought that up, and she's like, yeah, that's a good point because we're seeing that we've too many, like the overflow for the New York City Marathon is Philly. People will apply to get in New York City, not get in, so they just come down to the Philly Marathon. So if that overflow gets out of hand, they're going to have to start having a fundraising minimum, which is not the worst thing.
Yeah.
But it's awesome right now how the Philly's based, and you're here. You get down there early.
Yeah. We should start one in the suburbs. Maybe if that
Suburbs.
gets too crowded, the Philly suburb, the Delco Marathon.
The overflow from New York City down to Philly into Westchester.
Yeah, that'd be so funny.
Good.
And also, I mean, and obviously like the kingpin of marathons, you got Boston. Is that to qualify for Boston? Is that you have to be sub 3? I think for the age, if it's like 18 to 25, I think the qualification you have to be sub 3. I think that's the 18 to 25 range.
I know it started with sub 3, but with the competition getting better and faster, it dropped down. I think it dropped down to 2:57.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Which, I mean, that 3 minutes, you think it doesn't have a big factor with pace wise? Those seconds per mile are huge.
Yeah. Yep. Without a doubt.
But I think I'm going to have to commit to a favorite race, and I think it'll be the Sea Isle 10 miler.
Oh, is that the one where
in
there's
August.
a few on sand? You do 6 on sand or
The
something?
majority is on sand, 75% on sand, 25% on pavement.
I feel like that would.
I'm going to get you to do that this year.
I'll do it with you this year if you're doing it.
Good.
Does that like I feel like so every time I run on the sand, like just like good memories down at the beach. Like I feel like there's been numerous times where it's like me and my boys just like, how long can you walk on the beach at night? You know what I mean? Just go down, and like we've ended up doing like 5 miles without even thinking about it, and then you got to do like 5 back, and by like hours later your like Achilles is just like killing you because of like the uneven sand. Like are you running with sneakers on the hard sand the whole time, like a lot?
So you start out on the promenade. You start out on
right.
like 44th Street at the Beach Patrol headquarters. That's pavement. You go down to about 27th Street on pavement. You jump onto the beach. But on the beach trail, or I guess the beach path, you got to go through the soft sand to get to the hard sand. And that's when you're talking about the ankles are just leaning left and right, and you're just going through mud to get to the hard sand. Get to the hard sand, it's not as bad as you would think it is. But just going from hard sand onto the pavement, you got to go to that soft sand. That's the worst part there.
Okay.
And it's late in the day, so it's not an early morning race because they have a bunch of volunteers from the lifeguards. 5:30 p.m. start.
Oh,
yeah, it's a little different of a race, which is why I think it's my favorite one.
Yeah,
you
so
go
probably like
go
fun
run and
after
you go
too.
out and celebrate.
Yeah, maybe I'd
The
totally
no
buy
shower
that.
happy hour post 10 miler.
That's great. But yeah, so you got Lake Placid coming up. What's the future look like? What are your big goals, both personally, like athletics wise, everything?
Mm-hmm. So I think big goals leading up. I want to complete and become an Ironman at Lake Placid. I set goals at the beginning of this year. I want to go for a 3:15 marathon, not in the Ironman. Well, that would be very impressive, but I don't think it would be manageable here. I want to shoot for a 3:15. Maybe one day I'll go for a sub 3 marathon. Who knows? I hope we still have the drive and the passion for running. Maybe my knees will give out one day, but they got to prolong that a little bit. But I think I just want to become a better endurance athlete. Got to work on the mental aspect there and just keep learning from people.
For sure.
Just nonstop. And I want to get more friends to get into the running aspect. And I always have people reach out, and I'm like, just get out there, and you don't got to compare yourself to others, how fast you're doing. Just get out and go slow and enjoy it.
Yeah. Run Club,
Run Club.
Westchester this
Shout out,
summer. Come on, Club Havoc.
Shout out Cole for completing that
Shout out
100
Cole.
miler.
Yeah.
Good stuff,
yeah.
brother.
He's on the pod next. Come on now.
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
go.
Cole. Next
You're gonna
up.
be in the seat. But yeah. Oh, and one more thing. I feel like I've been forgetting to ask guests, at least the past 1 or 2 episodes. We like to ask every guest, no matter what, like they could be younger than us. What is your advice to us?
That's a good one. My advice to you guys would be put yourself in uncomfortable positions, whether that could be goals, relationships, or just daily interactions or just environments. Because if you're not putting yourself in that position to challenge yourself, you're not going to grow at all, and your peers are just going to fly by you.
Yep.
And you're going to build your support group there. You're going to build your friends, and if they set uncomfortable goals, learn from them, and you grow that ways, and then you build your life around those people. Just you want to build around the people that can deal with uncomfortability.
For sure. Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Shane, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for
we
having
appreciate
me.
it. I'm sure I'll see you around. We'll have to do a race, hit a run sometime, and yeah, thanks again.
Thanks for having me, Leo.
Motive Podcast signing off. Peace. See you next week.